Alright, what's up guys, Zero here, and today I have for you the deck profile for Novas, more specifically Victor. This was the first clan event for G, and you want to know about the event was very nice, very free-to-play friendly. I finished the deck completely for free with 0 gems spent. Very nice. Technically I'm missing 2 cards, but those cards are not as needed as you would think they would be. Technically I don't have a playset of the triple rare stride, but you don't really need them, but that's the point. So today we'll go over the deck, my build on it, and I'll go over why I play certain cards and why certain cards I think are bad at not playing. So yeah, so first thing to notice here, I have 2 Cray Elemental Strides here. Ideally there should be 2 more copies of the Victin, but I don't think I've ever strided this thing more than twice anyway, so I think 2 is exactly enough. And the Victoplasma is more important to have, so I prioritize getting the place of GR over this. Also, these are just craftable with the regular mats. If you have them, you just craft them like that. So before I even start, I'll just say, ideally, your G zone should have 4 of the Victin. I just couldn't be bothered to get all of them, so yeah. So first off, we'll go from top to bottom like usual. First off, the starter is the Battle Riser. So he is the original starter for Nova, the starter you played back in set 1. Now you're playing him again. His skill is at the end of the turn, after he boosts you put him back, you draw 1 and put him back in deck as a stand trigger. So the reason why we play this card is because, well, one reason is you could randomly sack wins with this card. It has happened with me quite often, or often enough. I think it's really nice to have, but more importantly, all your other starters suck. All of your other starters are terrible. Not necessarily because they are bad as a card, but because they have to stay on the board to do anything. So the main starter you see other people playing is Runball. GB1, when something in its column stands, it also stands. The issue with Runball is that every good deck that's like running around in the ladder right now has Retire or some way to get rid of your back row, i.e. Kagero has Retire and Gears have bot deck. So this thing might see one use out of it and then it just immediately goes away. At least with Battle Riser, the card swaps out off the board the card in your hand, acts as an extra trigger in your deck, which is pretty cool. And yeah, personally, I just don't think Runball is worth playing because it just gets killed too often, meaning you get like 0 value out of it. Your other storage choice would be Murayo, the Grade 3 Searcher, but I would rather not play Grade 2 Searchers unless just right now, just because you're basically forcing the heal cards to have better chances of living and all that good stuff. So lower chance of hitting. So unless your deck really needs it or you really just don't have anything else better to play, I would try to stay away from the Grade 2 Searchers right now. Other things that I've seen other people playing, and Rerider is actually not the worst thing in the world. It's a starter with Resist. You're probably never going to use this skill like at all, because you're not going to play Risers in your deck. But being Resist I think is actually worth considering, just because it's a booster that cannot die, or for the most part cannot die at least. And I know there's also builds running around playing the Seraph Snow stuff. I've never gone around and test that stuff, so I can't say how good it actually is. But in theory, it looks pretty good because it gives your deck a way to do something going first, and you're not eating up too many deck slots anyway. So I'm sure the Seraph Snow stuff is fine. I just haven't gone around and test with it. Maybe if I get around to test with it, I think it's better I'll do an updated deck profile or just update in the community tab. But yeah, that's a completely different build for a completely different day. So yeah, that's starter, grade 1, playing 4 of the Clay Doll mechanic. I'll play Countercharge 1. This deck, I do play a bunch of stuff like Counterblast, Hank Counterblast for CB1. I play Curara. If you use Victor's Stride bonus skill, that's CB1. Victoplasma CB2, Musashi CB2. Does eat Counterblast quite a bit, so that's why you definitely do need the Countercharge somewhere, and grade 2 slots are relatively tight, I'd say. I think these 2 slots are open for whatever you want to play, so you can play like the Humpty Dumpty thing if you want to play that there instead, but I just opt to play the 4 grade 1 Countercharges. I think this is enough Countercharge for the deck. Next up, the one of is the Energy Charger. On play, Soul lets you draw a card. Drawing's never bad, use your Soul for something, right? And then the only reason we don't play more is just because these other cards are more important, and this thing doesn't scale properly if you're lamed. So kind of awkward, but it's definitely nice to just have as a one of. You haven't drawn until you never feel bad about it. Next up is the Stride Fodder. I don't know this fucker's name, nor do I care, but his skill is like all the other Stride Fodder. On play, you discard a card to search your deck for a grade 3 with your deck's boss unit's name. In this case, it's Victor. So yeah, you use that to search for your Victor, and then its other skill is you pay for In hand, when you're paying cost for stride, it counts as +2 grades, meaning you pay for stride cost all by itself. Very nice to have. Yeah, I wouldn't play less than the 4 of this. It searches your main ride, it's stride fodder, it's outworlds a 7k booster. It's a pretty good card. Next off, the new PG. I don't know her name either, but she is the new type of PG where she's a countercharge PG, where if you use the PG, wherever you use it as a PG, and you have another copy of itself, another copy of it in drop, you unflip 1. Definitely pretty nice. Just like there's no reason not to play these if your deck has them, because it's PG with upside. There's just no reason not to play them, unless you really want to play old PGs for a reason, which I don't think you should be playing. So yeah, that's it for the grade 1s. Grade 2s, we'll go old and new cards. Kirara, Vanguard rear on hit CB2 draw 1. You have some countercharge in this deck with the clay dolls, so Kirara just a nice way to use your counterblast early in the game if you don't want to. You don't need to burn it on restand or anything like that. Drawing cards is never a bad thing. So yeah. Next up is the Anglet, the Beast Deity, something Anglet, I don't remember the name of this card, but unstand plus 4k. This thing is, for all intents and purposes, just better than the Sazanda, I think? The GB2, this card, this dude. For all intents and purposes, they basically do the same thing. The extra 1k does not matter from the Sazanda, but this thing, if you stand it multiple times, it can get power multiple times, so there's no reason to play the Sanda over the Anglet. So yeah, so that's why we should play 4. This is our main scaler of the deck, so yeah, that's why you should play 4 of this. Next up, new card is the something Hedgehog. Don't know the name, don't really care either. But his skill, his skill is on play, he gives the skill to another unit. If this unit, once per turn, this unit stands, draw 1 and countercharge 1. So 3+1 is always nice. Countercharge is also nice. 8k body is not so nice, but I think this card just like a slightly, to me, it's just like the it's like the Humpty Dumpty with just extra utility, extra countercharge too. So it has like countercharge and has the ability to plus you, which is very nice. If you don't want to play this, you can play like other stuff here. You can play this dude, you can play Transriser, you can play Jack, you can play Street Bouncer, a bunch of stuff you can play. But I personally do like this card, like a 2 of. 8k body kind of sucks, but you kind of live with it because it has pretty nice utility to go with it. Well, obviously, you could also just play more scalers here if you want. You could just play 2 of this guy. This guy's not the worst thing in the world, I guess, but definitely should not be your main scaler in the deck. And finally, we have the Hank. So his skill is GB1 once per turn. When the attack that he boosts hits a Vanguard, or was it on hit? Was it on hit? I actually don't remember. Let me just quickly search it up. I do not remember if this card is on hit or on attack. Just on attack. Let me quickly search it up so I do not get it wrong for you guys. When this unit attacks, okay, yeah. When this unit attacks, if it's boosted, you can CB1 to stand something, and then give that unit plus 3k. So, extra ways to attack. Oh wait, yeah. I should remember this thing, because this thing works at when your points at 5. So yeah. So this thing is your way to help you deal extra damage from points at 5. Helps you extend more restand combos and stuff like that. Your way to let your Anglet stand more than once to get extra power like that. Very good card, very good card. You definitely do need 4 of this card. This card's like one of your best combo extenders and game enders too. So yeah, very, very good card. That's it for grade 2, and onwards grade 3, we're playing, or I guess triggers here. We're playing 4 heal cards. Heal cards are heal cards. Not much to say about them. Heal cards are good. You play them because they are good. One of is the Yamatano Drake. I personally don't think we need that many extra scales because if you think about it, 11 plus 7 is 18 plus extra 3 that all these cards give when they restand is 21. Normal grade 3s just give and scale well enough that I don't think you need that many extra grade 3 scalers, but if you think you need extra grade 3 scalers, you can play more Drakes over the grade 3. I'm playing with just the Musashi. We'll go over this him first. His skill is GB1. You can CB2 to give a unit, one of your units, 2k power, and then you retire something from your opponent's board that has power that is less than that unit's power. So, for example, you give 2k to a Drake, or not to a Drake, to a Anglet, that's 11k now. You can kill anything on your opponent's board that's 11k or under. And this is not once per turn, it's GB1 locked, but it's not once per turn, so you can just keep doing this over and over again to clear the front row. If you have 4 counterblast open. One of your main finishers when your opponent's at 5, or if you just can't stride or stuff like that. Pretty nice card to have. And another skill is on place, Soul Blast 1. Call a card from your hand and give that unit 5k. Lets your units scale better too, so this card actually has some pretty nice utility to it. I actually do really actually like this card as as like the backup ride and a finisher for this deck. So yeah. And finally, last grade 3 is the Victor himself. GB2. This is GB2 on hit to Vanguard, restand something plus 3k. Doesn't happen too often, but it's there, I guess, if you need some way to end the game and you can't stride. And when your G unit strides on top of this card, that unit gets a skill once per turn. On hit to Vanguard, you can CV1 and stand that unit, give it 3k. So basically the same thing as this, but plus 3k, but cost counterblast and Vanguard Circle on place plus 3k. So let's think scale if you're going first, or just get extra power if you need it later on. So yeah. So this thing just lets you if your opponent's a 4 and you do like you try whatever, you can either like your Vanguard, if you're on Victoplasma, your Vanguard stands, you can stand the rear, and then you can you can stand like a Hank, and then the Hank can stand the other rear, you get extra attacks in. Stuff like that. You can do combos like that, or just Victon just stands 2 columns, you can run the Victon instead, so yeah. So that's it for the grade 3s. Strides, I'm playing 2 Villages just because I want to play that Victon. Obviously, if you have them, you play them, but the 3rd and 4th copy have never come up for me, so I don't care to get them. Speaking of Victon, so his skill is on hit to Vanguard, you can you stand your rear and you give that unit plus 3k. So it stands and it gives it a little extra power, let it scale a little better. Pretty nice card, pretty good card. Your go-to first ride because Victoplasma is GB2, meaning you cannot do anything, you need to go into it first. So yeah, yeah, you definitely need some amounts of this card because this card is your first ride. Sometimes you do need an extra copy, so I think like 2 is like the minimum you need for this deck. So yeah. Yeah, you definitely not bad card by any means, but it's like a pretty okay first ride. That's pretty much all it's good for. And then finally, the GR from this clan event wave and the stride here is the Victoplasma. So his skill is GB2 once per turn. This is the main phase, by the way, so it's not on attack or anything. You have to preemptively do this during the main phase. GB2 once per turn. CV2 G persona flip, so flip a copy of itself from your G zone face up. He gets -1 drive, and he gets the skill once per turn. At the end of the battle that this unit attack the Vanguard, you can discard 2 cards, stand it, and draw 1. So yeah, it's a restander. Restanding Vanguard, and then so yeah, obviously you can do combos with Victor and stuff when you're at 4. Otherwise, you're just lamming a 26k Vanguard to your opponent twice, which is still a double check, isn't bad at all by any means. So yeah, your end game finish. I think this card is something you should strive to get 4 of, just because it's a persona flip, meaning you stride 1, you use 1, and then you have 2, and then if you have like, and then so that means you only just think 1 more time after that, and that second time use of the Victim does come up. So I do think getting the playset of this is more important than getting extra copies of the Victin. So yeah. Also, one of your only 2 ways to end the game your points at 5, being it and Hank. So yeah. So that's it for the deck profile for Victor. Tell me guys what you think about this deck, and tell me guys if you're excited for these clan events, because I definitely am, because these clan events looking pretty free to play friendly, looking pretty nice, looking pretty easy, just clean out shop free if you want to. Definitely looking forward to hopefully Vanquisher being a clan event, so I can finish that deck for free, but that's neither here nor there. This is the Victor video, not the Vanquisher video, so yeah. That's it from me. I'll have some games for you guys after this as per usual, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.